Thank you, Kaylee. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Town Office Feasibility Committee. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I have a few notes to read here. This open meeting of the Town Office Feasibility Study Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on March 29, 2023. All members of the Town Office Feasibility Study Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The Act allows the Town Office Feasibility Study Committee to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed in the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, to confirm that we can hear you okay, when I call your name, please respond. Judy Brinkle. Oh, sorry, Linda Brinkle.
Here.
Kristen Wickstead.
Hi, here.
Judy Boyle.
Linda Boyle is here.
Aaron Hutchins.
Here.
Dario Damare.
Here.
Okay. Staff, when I call your name, please respond. Scott Charpentier.
Present.
Sean Thompson.
Present.
And Tim McGarty.
McInerney here.
Thank you, sir. So with that, I will get into later when we get into the public comment about how to do that. Right now, really quick, we do have the acceptance of minutes from February 21st. Has everyone been able to read the amended minutes that were sent by Ashley?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So do I have a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
Motion to accept.
Second.
And seconded. Thank you. Roll call vote. Linda?
Yes, accept.
Judy?
Yes.
Kristen?
Aye.
Aaron?
Abstained. Who seconded that?
Linda did.
Thank you.
Yep. Aaron, they are amended, so you don't have to abstain for this one.
That's all right. I'll abstain.
Okay. Dario?
Yes.
Okay. And Ashley wasn't present, and I am a yes. So that's passed. We're going to hold off on the February 27th minutes. I know there are a few adjustments to be put in there. So next is to review the information presented in the last meeting. I do see that Mark is here from Icon. Welcome, Mark. Is the rest of your team joining? Let's see if I don't see anyone in the attendees list.
No, so Scott emailed ahead of time and said it was only one of us were needed this evening. So
Okay.
I am representing Icon and I'm happy to be here and happy to assist in the committee in any way possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had
Thank you.
no formal presentation by Econ today. I thought it'd be best if we cut costs, had one member, the team lead, be here and help. And I'm glad you're healthy again, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Ned did really good in your absence. So Aaron, you've got your hand up.
Thank you. So in the interest of determining what the purpose of tonight's meeting is with Ashley absent, is it possible that we can just agree to reschedule this meeting?
Nope. We do have some items to go through, even in Ashley's absence. So let me go through those. And I'm going to start the meeting by saying, in case anyone here in the public is waiting for a vote, there will not be a vote today. We do have some additional items that have come up that I'm going to go through now. So if you're waiting for a vote, one's not going to happen today. So we were chatting back and forth with Icon, between Scott, Ned, Mark, myself, and Tim. And one of the things that Icon has agreed, because one of the things that really came out of the public meeting is the need to really get some numbers down, right? Now, I have some good news on that front, and I have some bad news on that front. So we'll get the bad news out of the way. Icon is still working on the disposition numbers for the properties. So we are not going to have those for this meeting. So I think that's one reason for not having the vote. But the good news is one of the things Icon is going to do is they're going to give us rough numbers for all of the projects, right? So we'll be able to tell, right now we have a pretty good idea of, what's the cheapest, what's the most expensive, but we don't have an idea of right, how much it varies, right? So this will give us an idea of how much it'll vary. Is it a difference of $1 million? Is it a difference of 10 million? Is it a difference of 50 million per project? And I think that will help with the vote. So Icon has agreed that they are going to send us that information before our next meeting so that all the members here can review it. What I would ask is don't ask any questions. Let's leave that for the next meeting. I don't want to take any chances of coming into issues with open meeting law and that by asking questions without being in a meeting. But they should. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Bill, would it be okay if single committee members emailed the question just to staff so that we could compile them all, get them to the consultant a couple of days before so they're not on camera just wondering what they're going to be question about?
Yeah, that makes sense. So if anyone has a question, Scott, do you want to gather that information?
Yep, I'm happy to be the triage captain.
Okay, thank you. So if you have any questions on the numbers, we'll send them to Scott individually, and then, Scott can compile that and give that to Icon a few days before our next meeting. Does that work for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Linda, you got your hand up.
I don't know if this is premature, but would it also be possible? There have been statements made about the fact that White Cliffs would be costing us money to retain it. And would it be possible if we didn't go in that direction for a town hall, would it be possible to get a sense of what it does cost on an annual basis if it doesn't get developed?
Sean?
So on average, and this is without any major issues at the building, like roof failing, chimney failing, like happened a couple years ago. But on average, it's about $40,000 to $50,000 a year to maintain the building.
And what's in that maintenance?
Electrical bills, fire alarm inspections, fire alarm repairs, insurance. The insurance is the biggest chunk. It's about like $12,000 to $15,000 for the insurance aspect of it, and then just minor repairs, like there might be a small leak here or there that we bring the roofer in for. Window glass panes failing, we got to patch those up, keeping the building secure, the envelope tight. It's a lot of miscellaneous stuff, but really just utilities and insurance are the main portion of it.
We have the expense to store the historic materials that have been removed from the property as well. As Sean indicated, repairs are found through inspection. So we have our roof contractor go over to make sure the roof's okay every year, like we do with all our properties. So there's carrying costs for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Sean and Scott, just really quick, how much of that is specific to White Cliffs and how much of that would be for any building that we're maintaining if we don't dispose of it?
Well,
so let's say 4 West Main.
Depends on the property and what you're insuring it for. As Sean indicated, White Cliffs, 12, 15 grand. 4 West Main can be 40,000. I mean, it depends on the building itself and what's going on in it and around it and what you're insuring it for. So
Okay.
it varies substantially. The one issue with White Cliffs is there's no revenue stream. I mean, at least at 4 West Main Street, we have a dentist, we have some cellular equipment on the roof, but it's White Cliffs is not a conditioned space, so it's more problematic.
Right. Okay.
So am I hearing you right that for any of the buildings, you'd expect 40 to 50,000 carrying costs?
No,
Minimum,
No.
I would say.
Okay, so
If
that's
they're-
not
if-
specific
yeah.
to White Cliffs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. So a couple other items that I just want to let everyone know. So there's been a lot of work since the public meeting. I know we've gotten a few emails come in as well. One of the other things that the chairman of the select board took upon himself is to go out and actually, when White Cliffs, Linda, you had mentioned this in the last meeting, when White Cliffs was potentially being sold, there were a lot of um, residents in the area who were concerned about things like traffic and the such. And so what the chairman did is he actually reached out to some of those people and wondered what their thoughts were about doing this as a town hall. One of the concerns that the only real concern, most people liked the idea. The only concern was the potential of, again, traffic, right? Especially in the late evening. So one of the things that, oh, Kristen, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, I was on that email chain too, Bill. And it first of all, the time that the residents, the neighbors were upset was just the most recent vote we had last year over whether to turn it into the affordable housing complex they wanted. Um, it wasn't when the building was it wasn't going to be sold. The town still is responsible for that building no matter what, unless we go to town meeting again and vote to change it. So, and the traffic that we're worried about is specifically the intersection of, because the driveway for White Cliffs comes out right near Brigham Street and Maple Street, and already that intersection, because I drive through there a lot. If you're trying to take a left from Maple onto Main Street, it's very tricky because sometimes people are taking a right from Brigham, and it's a really tricky intersection anyway. So this would be one more place where people might be turning, coming sort of across from you. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks, Bill.
Yep. Yep. Nope, you're exactly right. And so, so we're going to try to figure out what to do about that. Do we need to get some type of traffic study coming out of the driveway, the current town hall, and see what the traffic is at specific times of day? But that's specific to the White Cliff site, right? Um, so with that said, the only other thing, and Aaron, I'm not sure if you're going to like this or not, but one of the other things that the chairman mentioned, and I'm going to actually do this on both of the committees that I'm on, is we want to let the town staff handle minutes. So, so whatever you take for minutes today, just send it to Diane, and then Scott, I think we're okay with handing off the minutes after this meeting.
Yeah, I think just to ease the process, maybe streamline it with the email threads we get. I'm happy to have staff pitch in and do the minutes if you like, Mr. Chairman, and if it pleases the committee.
Yeah, and then like I said, I'm going to do this on my other committee as well, on the traffic committee next week. So try to keep everything with the same flow. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to public comment at this point. So let's see. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand at the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. Once the chair recognizes you, you'll please give your name and address, and then we'll allow for about 3 minutes for any comments. I don't see any hands going up. Okay. So I know this is a really quick meeting. So let's start thinking about a date for the next meeting. I'll ask Mark, if we give you like a 2-week time frame to get us those numbers, do you think that would work? As well as the disposition numbers?
Yeah, so I think that we have a draft of the disposition report that came in this evening. We will be reviewing that, and then we have talked to our estimator. So I think within a week we can have numbers together and a finalized disposition report. And we can get that to the committee.
Okay. I do want to give the committee a little bit of time to go ahead, Aaron.
I have on my calendar, March 20th is already being reserved for this committee.
Yeah, I think, Scott, if I remember correctly, we had talked about the potential reserve of March 20th. I don't think we had agreed to that. So
I
was
have
gonna
that
say-
as a question mark, Mr. Chairman.
yeah. So
I actually had the 19th or the 21st on hold.
okay.
Um,
Well, so
So-
let me ask this to the committee. If we were to get this information by the 13th, do we think that that week of the 19th, 20th, or 21st would be enough time for everyone to review the information and be able to make a vote?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the
So-
20th as well, yeah.
Okay. So, Mark, would your team be available on the 20th?
No, and that's why I have the 19th or the 21st.
That's what I was
We
afraid of.
are, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the
Um,
21st would be better, Mr. Chairman, to get an extra day or two.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't do the 19th because the planning board is the 19th. So what about does the 21st work with everybody?
Not for me.
No? Okay.
Or,
So then I guess we'll look at the next week after that. So I
20th
know
doesn't work?
the 20th does not work for Icon.
What about the 19th?
Oh, okay.
The 19th I have planning board.
Oh, you have planning board, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Aaron.
Mark, does the 19th not work for any one of the three of you?
No, the 19th work, the 19th
I'm sorry, the
or the
20th, I meant, the
21st.
20th.
The 20th, it would either be Ned or I. And I don't believe it will, unfortunately. I think we are both, we will both be in a different meeting.
I have the 27th as another placeholder. So I have the
Right.
20th and the 27th as two placeholders on my calendar.
Yeah, likewise.
So
Yeah, the
Mark, what about?
27th works. We're carrying that as a placeholder right now.
Okay. So is the 27th okay with everybody? Does anyone have conflicts with the 27th? Now, obviously, we have to check with Ashley, right? So, whatever this next meeting is, we will be planning on taking a vote. So I do want to make sure that everyone can attend. So as long as the 27th is okay with everyone here, we'll reach out to Ashley, make sure she's okay with the 27th. And if she is, then we'll plan on having the vote on the 27th. Does that work for everybody?
Yep.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, can I ask a public question and not a committee question? I wasn't sure how that worked when you were asking public comments.
Sure.
Dario, you don't get to be public if you're on the committee.
You don't?
No, you're a committee
Okay.
member. But ask your
Okay.
question
But
though.
you can ask your question.
Well, when we do the pricing, when we do this at other locations, there's a couple of huge numbers, and I don't know if we're doing them or not, which would be the resale value of all the properties, as well as the potential tax revenue if they were sold and used, to weigh against which property we get, because that's a case where if we took the old town hall, and it could be rented, there's revenue and there's a sales price, just rough value associated with those. And that's a huge factor when you're looking at the big picture, not just the cost of the project, because if we pick a certain building, the other three would be available for resale and use and tax gains. And those are two big numbers that I think need to be considered in the big picture, because we own these properties and don't necessarily want to keep them once we have, a town hall site selected.
Go ahead, Scott.
Through the chair, Dario, yeah, we've discussed that with Icon.
Right.
They're not doing an official pro forma for each property. That would be far too extensive. But they are doing a form of pro forma to not be too reiterative. That'll include both the resale consideration as well as what the prospective tax revenue, the
Perfect.
revenue stream is.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome, Dario.
Sorry, Aaron, I was
Okay.
public.
It's okay. Linda.
Yeah, so during the public comment, there was a question about the Old Town Hall and developing in the northward direction rather than to the east, which is what the proposal was by Icon. Is there any way to either discuss that or bring that into consideration, or have Icon evaluate that as a possibility?
So, as part of our charter, I don't think so. And the only reason I say that is because what we were asked is to take the property that's owned by the town, right? The town doesn't own that property. So, obviously, purchasing that property or taking it by eminent domain and then doing the build out, there would be a lot more questions to that. And I'm not sure that we can, that's something this committee really needs to or should get into. Because we could do that with any of the properties, right? You could buy property next to the fire station, right? And let's look at that, right? If we get into too many what ifs, we'll just get down into the weeds and nothing will get done, is my concern. So what we were charged with was town-owned property. So we're just trying to keep it with that, with all of, keep them all apples to apples.
Bill?
Yep, go ahead, Kristen.
So just to piggyback on that, because John Coder was in charge when the charge for this committee was made. He was the one who appointed everybody onto it. And well, he did some, and then the interim town administrator came along and put a few more. He made it bigger, basically. But I think John's idea was to just choose from these four because that was one area he had a wealth of experience. Like, he knew Northborough really well, and he knew it made sense to choose one of these four sites. And so that is really the only thing we're supposed to be considering. I think we have a pretty strict, tight list of things we're supposed to do.
So it would be up to the select board then to expand it if that were deemed desirable by the board.
by this board,
Yeah.
by this committee.
No, well, no, I'm saying to consider that as an option. It would be in the bailiwick of the select board then, not this board.
I actually think it would be the town administrator, but this committee has already spent a lot of money on architects doing what their charge was with Icon, so I really don't see that happening. I mean, we've had a lot of really good conversations, and I don't see any reason to just tear it all apart and start over again.
Okay, well, I guess that's my question, is whether that would be a consideration of the select board to make that determination.
Yeah, I think after we're done with our charge, if the town administrator or the select board decide, we want to look at this other option, then they would have to budget money and do a different type of feasibility study, and include the possible purchase of additional land at each one of these sites. Again, that's not in our charter, so that's, unfortunately, that's something I don't know if we really want to look at. Go ahead, Scott.
I'm sorry, Kristen, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and that, one of the things the select board does is we try to not spend too much of the taxpayers' money. And that would be just extra money. I think that's how people would see it. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Oh, thank you, Kristen. Actually, that's a perfect springboard. The scope of services includes the 4 parcels. The fee structure is $70,000 for those first 4. So adding parcels is almost a direct correlation of costs, and so it's substantial. When we start adding parcels here and there, and as Bill indicated, there can be a multitude of options, and they're quite costly. So I just wanted to put it in some financial perspective. That's all.
But I think in my mind, in the scale of this development, probably not a lot if there is another viable option. Because we're talking about tens of millions of dollars to do these developments. So, but anyway, I understand it's not in our charter to do this. And that would be up to the select board to follow up if, that were considered more desirable than any of the existing options that we're considering. So I think we can leave it rest there.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. One other piece of information, and this is, I'll send this out later on, is back in 2020, and I wasn't aware of this. Thank you, Norm, for bringing this up to me. The White Cliffs Committee actually did a study on using White Cliffs as a municipal building, and we actually have those numbers. So one of the interesting things will be what's the difference between 2020 numbers and the numbers that Icon is going to give us for 167 Main Street.
That's right, Bill, but I don't know. Maybe I never really looked at that. I guess because I wasn't on the board yet in 2020, but I think it was to just renovate the mansion and turn that into as much of a town hall.
No, they had an addition on there and everything. It's
they did?
all in there. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little bit smaller. It's smaller by about 1,000 square feet than I think what Icon is proposing. But like I said, it'll be interesting to get some comparison numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll send that out a little bit later as well. Is there anything else from the committee before we adjourn for the night? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Okay. Roll call vote. Linda?
Aye.
Judy?
Aye.
Kristen?
Aye.
Aaron?
Yes.
And Dario?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night, and we'll see everyone on the 27th.
Right.
Good night.